running in the All-American Futurity and
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Triple Crown Report, brought to you by Jones Bloodstock Insurance Company. I'm Tim Keithley, along with legendary broadcaster Tom Dawson. Happy to tell you all about horse racing at Ruidoso Downs in 2025. The Triple Crown Report is brought to you by Jones Bloodstock Insurance Company, Granada Farms, American Quarter Horse Association, New Mexico Horse Breeders Association, Kavanaugh Quarter Horses, Kiss My Hawks, Speed Horse Magazine, Rolling Still Vodka, and Ponderosa Whiskey. And Tom, it's been a long winter, but we're back.
You know, Tim, for me, it was a succession of feelings. I always had a belief that we would be back. And then when the work finally started and we could see things again getting done, it was relief. And then about a month ago, when I talked to Johnny Trotter here at the West Texas Futurity, it was assurance. He was confident that things would get done and get finished. And here we are for opening day.
Well, we need to offer a tip of the hat to everyone who worked so hard over the past 9 months to put our racetrack back together after what happened last summer. And our producer, Jesse Wright, takes us through the recovery of Ruidoso Downs Racetrack so that we're ready to race horses this weekend. Here we are at Ruidoso Downs Racetrack after the flash flooding that occurred this past weekend. We have General Manager Rick Baugh here, and our hearts are broken, but we must move forward, Rick.
Oh, you're absolutely correct. They are broken. However, we got to keep the wheels on the bus, and we've got to proceed.
And so the decision has been made to continue the Ruidoso Downs meet at the Downs of Albuquerque.
You know, it's safety. You can't beat Mother Nature. You just can't. And she showed us yesterday who's in control, and we hate it, but we've got to do it.
Northbound I-25, here we come. Well, here we are at Ruidoso Downs Racetrack for an update on what's happening, and you can see a lot of earthwork being done behind us. I have the general manager, Rick Baugh, here. And
Tim, progress continues. We've removed approximately 100,000 yards of material off of this racetrack since the floods, with another 150,000 yards to go. So we've still got a lot of work to do, but we're going to stay after it and get this job done. Tim, what you see here and what we have is the original state of the river when the racetrack was enlarged in 1985. So the flow has been created of a multiplier by at least 10, if not more. So the volume that is being released in this area is going to make a huge, drastic difference. I got to give everybody credit. They worked hard, they dug in, and we're ready.
Now, our fans that will be coming in for opening weekend, it looks a little different. What should they expect?
Well, they built an 8-acre retention basin in the infield. Kind of overwhelming, but everything else is good to go. Everything, a few rough edges here and there. Public will never see them, but Quarter Horse Track is ready. I'm really elated about the track. So
it's going to be an exciting season. I know you're thrilled to have the racing fans back.
I can't wait to get back to some sort of normalcy and stay here at home.
Well, it's an amazing piece of video watching all of the flood recovery, and we're back for opening of horse racing season. And I know the Trotters and our general manager, Rick Baugh, had a lot to do with that.
There'll be a lot of kudos coming their way as we get back to racing, and all are richly deserved, not only for putting the racetrack back together, but for making sure steps were taken to see that this would not happen again. Water diversion, holding ponds, various steps to try to protect the racetrack from ever getting in that same position that we found it in last summer.
Lord willing and the creek don't rise. Well, we are ready to talk about horse racing for the 2025 season opening weekend, Ruidoso Futurity and Derby Trials, and we'll tell you all about it when the Triple Crown Report returns.
The American Quarter Horse, They represent a new year, new opportunities, and exciting expectations to be winners. For over 30 years, Jones Bloodstock Insurance Agency has insured American quarter horses that include champions and their bloodlines. Jones Bloodstock Insurance Agency knows that your horse represents a large investment. Ensuring that investment will be the least overall expense an owner has in protecting that investment, whether it's a new foal, a new purchase, or a special runner. Jones Bloodstock Insurance Agency offers prospective full coverage to protect your investment from the very beginning, while in utero and when your foals are born. Jones Bloodstock Insurance Agency can insure them at 24 hours of age. Their family has made supporting the American quarter horse a priority. Jones Bloodstock Insurance Agency is proud to be a Triple Crown Report sponsor. Visit their website at jonesbloodstockinsurance.com for more information.
For more than 56 years, Speed Horse Magazine has been the trusted source for quarter horse racing news. Our monthly coverage gives insight to current events and racing of quarter horses, paints, and Appaloosas. The annual Speed Horse Stallion Register is an exclusive reference for pedigrees and industry-leading statistics available prior to breeding season. Our print and digital formats will keep you informed and connected. Speed Horse Magazine. We deliver the information that drives the industry.
New Mexico offers year-round racing for both quarter horses and thoroughbreds. $60 million are paid out to New Mexico breds annually, highlighted by Albuquerque's $1.2 million futurity.
KJ Bad Moon Rising Layer Cake, here's the wire very close.
Your chance to own the next New Mexico bred millionaire awaits. Buy at the New Mexico Bred Sale and the Ruidoso Select Sale. The smart money says New Mexico is the place to race.
Back to the Triple Crown Report, and Tom, let's talk about trials for the $1 million Ruidoso Futurity. The interesting thing about all of these trials is that the number of horses nominated for these major Triple Crown races is as high as ever, including the quality.
Yeah, it's as high as ever, and I think for those of us trying to handicap this first set of trials, it's more difficult than ever. No training races were held at Ruidoso this year because of the need to get the racetrack back in shape. So we're flying blind on this first set of trials more than we ever have, which makes me want to lean on the few horses that we know something about.
And you may see some bombs opening weekend, some big long shots, because we don't know a lot about these horses, and so that you could tell that possibly at the mutual lines. But let's take a look at a couple horses to watch. Anytime a horse is supplemented, they paid the $50,000 to go into the gate this weekend. Well, that certainly is something that you should take note of, and we have that with the famous and relentless racehorse number 4 in race 3.
He was one of two that trainer Jason Olmstead supplemented. The other one will run, I believe, on Saturday. But Famous and Relentless was the winner of the Remington Park Juvenile on the wettest, nastiest, sloppiest night you could possibly imagine. He was in the 10-hole that night, and it's probably good. He was out there away from everything, and he could get rolling on that sloppy track and came on and finished with authority to win that race. Horses out of that juvenile traditionally have gone on and done pretty well later in the year.
Famous and Relentless for the Olmstead barn. And then we go to race number 8. And Tom, you know, I'm always kind of have my ear out on the backside at the beginning of the season. What horse is everyone talking about for the All-American? And this horse keeps coming up, winner of the West Texas Futurity, number 10, Political Twist.
And he did it like a horse with a future. That's a short race, Tim. A lot of times horses that can win going 3:30, you're not going to see them going 4:40. But as you'll see, Political Twist looked like a horse that could go on.
And you'll find in the 8th race for Friday afternoon. Political twist on the outside is number 10. And then in the last heat of the day, race 15, a friend of mine, trainer John Steinbaugh, always has a horse that he's talking up, and he did so with Jess Cartel Blue. We went to the backside to visit with John, his runner number 4 in the 15th on Friday. John, as we go down the shed row, you've got one here that has a little promise. This is Jess Cartel Blue.
Yeah, this is a homebred of Pete Scamardo's, and we're really, really happy with this horse. He's a little different bred. I mean, not different. He's not as popular as a lot of the horses around today, as far as the political Jess, favorite Cartel, and that sort of stuff.
With the Ruidoso, and there's no schooling races this year, what you're really hoping to do is just give these horses plenty of experience.
Yes, and that's what we try to do. We were lucky enough in Texas. We got schooling races, and a lot of them, some of those dates have run out. We came back and reworked some of them. And like this horse, we got lucky and got it in the first weekend of Houston, which gave him plenty of time to get up here. And plus, a lot of people utilized Remington Park, and I think we got our works, and then naturally got a trip over this racetrack.
Good luck opening weekend.
Thanks.
Houston is one of the places where a number of horses prep for different trainers, and we're going to be looking harder than ever at the horses that came out of races down there to get a handle on what they might do in these Ruidoso trials, Jim.
Because a lot of it has to do with experience on the racetrack, and so many of these horses will be first-time starters over the weekend. Let's take a look at Saturday's horses to watch, and we begin with Flying Chance. J.J. Gonzalez is training this one, has a lot of hopes on the backside. We're shopping for 2-year-olds, so we got to stop at JJ's barn, and the chances of the Flying 1, 2, 3.
Flying Chance is a good colt. He's a mountain horse. He's a big, stout, long-jumping quarter-mile horse. So, his purpose and his goal is just like everyone else's, the All-American Futurity.
But we can start with a little bit shorter distance and a little luck.
Yes, he'll be in the Ruidoso Futurity.
Well, this is just one of many that the Gonzalez barn has. He told me the other day he thought he had about 10 that he really liked in between the 2 trial days. That's quite a few, but there are some that are really sharp. And there's one horse that he has in the barn, Jamie Santasha, that won the Remington Park Futurity, not even in this set of trials. So big summer looming for the J.J. Gonzalez barn.
We certainly hope so. Flying Chance will be number 7 in race 8 on Saturday. And then in the 10th race on Saturday, a horse on the outside, number 9, Allegiant Air, runs for the Wood Barn and jockey Ricky Ramirez. That's a hot combination.
Well, that's a very familiar combination, Tim, and here they are back together again. Allegiant Air qualified very nicely for the West Texas Finals. Didn't run a bad race coming back at the end, and with that experience and a graded stake behind him, figures to be tough in here.
And in the 13th race on Saturday afternoon, Prayin' and Sinnin' draws the inside rail, Tom.
And Prayin' and Sinnin' was there down in there for the West Texas Juvenile. This horse had all kinds of trouble in the trial, and we thought, man, we've got a sleeper for the finals. Everybody else saw what we saw, and he was bet down to near favoritism, but won that race with authority, finished strong. I think Prayin' and Sinnin' is a horse with a big future at Ruidoso.
There you have horses to watch on Saturday. Include Flying Chance, Allegiant Air, and Praying and Sinning. Where do they get some of these names? That's a good one. When we come back, we'll take a look at the trials for the $830,000 Ruidoso Derby when the Triple Crown Report returns.
One famous eagle has sired the winners of over $40 million. He averages nearly $42,000 per starter. One famous eagle is the only son of Mr. Jess Perry to sire 3 All-American Futurity winners and 2 world champions. Also at Granada is Bobby Cox's Hawkeye. He was the nation's number 2 freshman sire and second crop sire as well. For more, contact Coy Dolan at Granada Farm.
Kavanaugh Quarter Horses is proud to own AQHA champion Uncle D. Last year's leading freshman sire is now sired over $1.3 million in earnings. The $50,000 smart money incentive for Uncle D foals who are Grade 1 winners has been extended through 2026. Now, Grade 2 and 3 winners are eligible for $25,000. Plus, he remains a Ruby Buckle stallion. Difference maker Uncle D, standing at Lazy E Ranch.
Kiss My Hawks is a 2-time AQHA racing champion and multiple G1 winner of more than $1.1 million. The 2012 Sorrel Stallion is by tenthing dash out of the Trey Sace mare Romancing Mary. Kiss My Hawks progeny have earnings over $13.8 million from just 9 crops to race. He is the only sire in 2024 with 2 earners of $600,000+. Kiss My Hawks, proudly standing at the Lazy E Ranch.
Back to the Triple Crown Report as we turn our attention now to trials for the $830,000 Ruidoso Derby on Sunday and the return of a superstar in KJ Bad Moon Rising, number 4 in race 2.
Always interesting, Tim, when we have these really good 2-year-olds come back at 3. Some of them continue their careers at the top level and are great sophomores as well. Others have struggled. They don't develop, don't mature, and some other new horses take their place. But we're sure hoping to see these horses that made their mark at 2 come back at 3. And one of them, KJ Bad Moon Rising, of course, was second in the All-American. And then he came back at Albuquerque and won the New Mexico State Fair Futurity. He had to work for it. He had to work hard for it, but it was a big victory for John and Kathy Lee and Ruben Morris, Wes Giles, and Adrian Ramos to pull that off.
Well, Tom, the connections of KJ Bad Moon Rising don't think that horse has lost a step from its second place finish in the All-American. And now let's go to the third race, and here's a horse that is ready to roll on Sunday afternoon. I'm talking about Ariat for co-owner Javier Rodriguez.
Well, Sunday we bring back the 3-year-olds in Derby trials, and Javier, I know that you're very optimistic.
Oh yeah, you know, I was blessed with some good 2-year-olds last year, being 3-year-olds this year, and I got 4 that I really think they can do. Here on the mound. You know, FDD Dreams, I think he's going to be pretty sharp. Painted Eclipse, Little Vaquero, Ariat. I think all 4 of those, I think they're going to do good out here. They're training fantastic, so they should be all right. I give them a break, you know, and they'll be the first out, so we'll see.
And there is a little story about Ariat in the Futurity last year, that something happened in the gate just before they broke. It might have changed the fate of Ariat in the All-American.
Yeah, you know, he was feeling so good, and he was excited. He false broke, and, you know, he hit the gate so hard that I think that could affect him, so hopefully he'll be better.
Maybe we'll get a little revenge as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be fun.
All right, best of luck on Sunday.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that sub-21 second trial race that Ariat ran for the All-American, Tim, had trainers talking about how they'd never seen a 2-year-old run that fast.
Looks like La Feliz Montana Ranch is locked and loaded because, Tom, not only do they have Ariat, but in the 7th race, number 3, FDD Dreams.
FDD Dreams chased. He's got to look Z all summer. He finished behind KJ Bad Moon Rising. When it came to the Texas Classic Futurity at the end of the year in November, he finally got his big win. He looked super there at Lone Star, and Javi Rodriguez was the happiest guy you've ever seen, saying, I finally got one. I finally got one. And if FDD, of all the horses we talked about, FTD Dreams would be the one I think will come back very strong.
There you go. Horses to watch on Sunday in the Derby Trials. KJ Bad Moon Rising, Ariat, and FTD Dreams. What a weekend. Opening for the Rios Downs racetrack to be back and having some fantastic trial races, Tom.
There we go. Can't wait to see him, Tim, sit beside you and try to handicap him. We're going to do a lot of guesswork, aren't we?
That's what makes it so much fun. Triple Crown Report is brought to you by Jones Bloodstock Insurance Company, Granada Farms, AQHA, New Mexico Horse Breeders Association, Kavanaugh Quarter Horses, Kiss My Hawks, Speed Horse Magazine, Rolling Still Vodka, and Ponderosa Whiskey. And thanks for watching the Triple Crown Report. We'll see you next week.